So the biggest question that everyone has right now when it comes to the game Concord is, should Sony just take the L and move on?
Just stop.
How bad is it?
Just stop it.
Still mad at me?
Stop. No. Just stop it.
Because if you look at the reception online, a lot of people are not really that hyped or psyched about this game. Even though, to be fair, it does have some good points to it, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. But we've had the opportunity here on Direct Gaming to try out the Concord beta right now. It's currently available at the moment of this recording to all people who pre-order the game and to people who have PlayStation Plus members, as you can clearly see on the screen right here. The open beta for everybody, regardless, you, your mom, your sister, your uncle, can all play it next weekend on the 18th of July. And obviously after that, you either have to decide to play this game, wait for it to probably eventually come to PlayStation Plus as a free title, maybe in the extras category, or yeah, don't play it. And I've got some thoughts on that later on. But regardless, let's just talk about real quickly what is available here. The Concord beta actually gives you access to 16 plus characters, which is definitely really cool. I mean, they all have unique abilities and everything, so it's kind of their gimmick. They're kind of their thing that they want to market it on and everything. We get 3 to 4 maps playable. We get a few modes playable, which are really cool. Some in-game stuff that we can, test around and see how the crew system works and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it's what you'd expect from a beta. Whatever you see here in this beta, you are going to see in the full release. Will there be changes to things like damage, health, server stressing, all that stuff? Absolutely, of course. That's what a beta is. But this isn't really a beta. This is a demo. Let's be perfectly honest here. And overall, so far, I would say just initial off-the-bat impressions is the game is good. And that's about it, unfortunately. In this day and age, especially in this particular area of gaming, which is a live service, first-person shooter, hero shooter, to some extent, we'll get into that later, this has a lot of competition, especially when this game is charging $40, when the majority of other games are free-to-play. Now, I will say, if they pull this off in terms of what I potentially see with this game when it releases, if they do this one particular thing, I actually think that's better than free-to-play. But then again, I'm a boomer when it comes to gaming because I prefer the old days of pay once and I unlock everything else afterwards. Totally fine with that, right? It respects my time. I got to play the game a bit, but I get some cool stuff and all that. I don't have to pay for battle passes. I don't have to do any of that crap. I personally like that. But I know a lot of people would prefer to just simply get everything handed to them free. And while I definitely have had some issues with that, especially, the last couple of years, that's just the way it is. So, is this beta good? Yeah, it actually kind of is.
You need to leave!
Everything from the gunplay, the movement, and the maps is actually pretty good. And you should expect none the less from this type of game because this is made by a team of old Destiny 2, Destiny, and Halo developers. They know how to make gunplay feel good. They know how to make movement feel good. And that's exactly what they do. It definitely moves and feels better than playing something like Overwatch, because I'm just going to rely on saying that game, because that's what everyone's comparing it to. And guess what? If you're going to compare it, then I'm going to compare it. And I'm going to say right now, the gunplay and the movement is 10 times better than Overwatch. And yes, I put a crazy amount of time into the first Overwatch, played a little bit of Overwatch 2, and honestly, it's got bored. Because let's be perfectly honest here, Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1. And we know that because the file names were still Overwatch when Overwatch 2 released. So, have they changed that? I'm not really sure, regardless. But Lemon, as you all know, he's a regular here on the channel. I want to ask you, and also you guys who are live with us right now in the chat, let us know your thoughts right now. From watching us play the game, or if you get to try it out yourself, whether you're seeing this now or later in the open beta, what are your personal thoughts on the game? How did it feel to play the game? Was it fun? Was it just all right? Was it, hey, this is good, but guess what? You're in a really crowded boat of other games in this particular genre, and you're not doing anything particular to really get me to want to spend the money or anything like that. Just what are your overall personal thoughts on this?
So you've kind of already stated what I already feel about the game. It's good. It's a solid game. It's a solid base on which to build on. However, you are entering an entirely overcrowded market. And you are not free to play. So you have a gate in which to get people to play your game already with that $40 price point, on top of already having established franchises, right? I feel like they have a very, very steep hill to have to scale to get a player base. And I just don't see it with this game. It's good. I wouldn't call it great, but it's a very solid, fun game. But the problem is they have a very bad image issue right now. And we talked about it earlier in the stream, but the issue with it is effectively like a Call of Duty, a Halo. It's just a standard FPS with heroes. Yep. People keep comparing to Overwatch, and that's the wrong kind of game to compare it to. You need to compare it to Halo or Call of Duty or Battlefield or the Finals or something like that, because that's the kind of game it is. It is not anywhere near as bombastic as Overwatch, which in my mind puts the bombast over the skill and the kind of nitty-gritty parts of an FPS. It's all about those play of the games, right? Whereas this game isn't. It's about being good at the game. It's about being better at the game.
I agree with that.
I don't want any game to necessarily fail, and I'm concerned seeing this, that Sony has lined it up to fail. It's a good game. I just don't think it has enough word of mouth to really get it to sticking around. That's my biggest concern with it.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head there yourself, right? Because what a lot of people sometimes don't recognize is that the first initial impressions of something, right? Doesn't matter if it's completely wrong. If this can be in gaming, media, doesn't matter, right? If there is something that you initially see for the very first time and you get this perception of it, right? So for example, everyone looks at Concord and think that it is a Overwatch clone, right? It's heroes battling out 5v5 shooting mechanics. When in reality, that's actually not what it is. Yes, there are heroes here, right? And you can have some gripes about how certain characters are made and how certain characters are very similar to other characters. But like you stated beforehand, this is firstmost a first-person shooter. This is not trying to move a particular big item across the map like you do in Overwatch all the time with these ultra abilities to get the game of the play or anything like that. This is about learning your character and really trying to get skillful at it, and also a combination of some teamwork, right? And I know some people are programming like, isn't he literally explaining Overwatch? But try out the beta next week, right? Just try it out, and you'll see automatically what it feels like to play this game compared to Overwatch. They feel nothing alike. They really don't. And again, it goes back to the fact that this team are ex-developers for things like Halo, like Destiny and everything, which is why Lemon there was saying it's more akin to that with heroes in it, essentially, right? And so because you're literally running around in essentially an arena shooter, right, for this particular type of game, and then you've got the heroes and their abilities using it. And I will say, side note real quick, I can't believe they gave everyone a hunter dodge from Destiny, but that's just here nor there. Not everybody technically, but majority of them. Anyway, getting back on topic here, you are absolutely correct that it's in an oversaturated area, but the perception is that everyone thinks this is Overwatch, even if it's not. This game could release, they could actually keep up on it, and it could be 10 times better than Overwatch, right? Like word of mouth starts getting around and everyone's just like, dude, this game destroys Overwatch. Why do we even play that crap game, right? There's no battle pass in Concord. They allow us to unlock all this stuff. I don't gotta deal with Overwatch coins. The list just goes on and on and on. But there are still gonna be a good chunk of people saying like, nah, I saw that initial trailer. I ain't touching that piece of shit, right? That's just the way it is, unfortunately, right? And Sony themselves have not been marketing this game at all. There are a ton of features in this game that are actually very unique, but because they don't have an actual good tutorial in the game, which hopefully they do in the full game, but this is a beta, this is your chance to show us that stuff. And if you're not going to, well, then guess what? It's not going to sit well with a lot of people. So there's no actual tutorial to teach a bunch of this stuff. And for example, when we were playing this, somebody came into our stream. Shout out to our follower, Zap. He is the one who let us know about this stuff. Basically, when you complete matches or you're completing matches and you're unlocking stuff and you eventually get the chance to unlock your crew, which is to basically set the characters in a particular order that you like, you are supposed to be switching between the characters every single time you die, or close to every single time, the way he described it at least. I don't know 100% because the game doesn't tell me this stuff. I know there's technically that how to play section, and it's a lot of words saying to do some of that stuff, but it's not telling me exactly what it does and everything like that, right? And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to switch between the characters, and as you do this and you're laying their, unique mechanics out on the floor, like for example, one of the plant guys in the game, you can set down a pod that gives yourself like extra defense and mobility and everything and reload speed for you and your team. But when you die, it still stays out there as long as it's not destroyed. And you can keep doing that. You switch it between characters and getting these buffs around the area. And eventually, as you do this, you'll eventually get something called like a super soldier or something like that, which is absolutely cool and, unique and everything. But there is nothing from Sony, nothing from tutorials, nothing talking about all this stuff. And it's going under the radar that no one knows about. And unfortunately, that's all on them. That is 100% all on Sony to not be marketing some of the unique stuff, even from their initial trailer and everything. They just let this random trailer with cutscenes go through, and then we got to see some gameplay and the developers saying like, hey, we get to do this and this. Why weren't the developers talking about your crew system more? Why weren't they talking about how some of this unique stuff works and everything? So I feel like there's actually some good stuff here that you could see, but guess what? No one's going to know about it. And the first match that you go into and you try to look at how certain players work, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're thrown into a match like our friend Lemon here was, and you don't know how things work. Luckily, he stuck around for a few matches. Most people, they're going to leave after that. They're done. There's like, nope, I'm done. Delete, not downloading anything else from this game, and you're out. That's essentially what they're going to do. The majority of people are going to do that if that type of thing happens. I know this is a beta. I know this is a beta, in quotation marks, I should say. But there should really have been some thought put into some of the stuff that was in here to show you how to play certain modes, how do certain characters work, or at least the ability to jump into an empty map and try things out. And especially with the crew system, that 100% needs to be expanded upon, because one thing that we've talked about here that we love playing on this channel is the finals. And I know some people are going to look at that as a niche game, but it's super fun. It's made by old DICE developers and everything. Plus, it's got the best destruction in any game. Hands down, I will defend that game tooth and nail for that. But that game, when you click on a game mode, you can right click to see all the same details you'd expect to see in something like Concord, Overwatch, just explaining how the game mode works. But next to that, they have a video that you can play showing you how to do the main mechanics of the game mode. Why doesn't Concord have something like that showing you how the crew member stuff works? Or how does this particular character work when it comes to using their special abilities? Again, it could be in the full game, but I think they really missed the moment here to show this stuff off, and that could be a detriment to this game. That's not just simply Overwatch clone and everything, right? That's just what it is. Lemon, what are your personal thoughts?
You pretty much stated all my opinions. You stole the wind out of my sails.
I stole the wind out of here.
You. No, I generally believe Sony kind of is letting this one wither on the vine a bit. I think they kind of did the same with Helldivers 2. They just kind of pushed out the door and it happened to pop off. Much to everyone's, excitement, it turned out people really liked it. And they seem to be doing the same thing with this one, which is a bit disappointing, but I'm not super shocked since it seems like they're kind of cleaning house a bit, kind of pulling back from this whole live service mentality that they had.
Right.
The problem is it's a marketing issue, it's an image issue, and they don't seem to want to have to fix it.
Yep.
They don't want to fix it. They don't feel compelled to fix it. I fully believe this is a game that's going to drop on the Plus, Essentials even, just like that D-Derby game that came out a couple of years back, whose name I'm absolutely forgetting. I'm concerned about the game. I think it's going to just kind of die. It's going to be DOA, and that's going to be that, which, granted, I wasn't looking forward to this game necessarily. I don't really play a huge amount of multiplayer FPSs, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about this kind of thing, but from the beta, what I've played, solid game, but I think it has an image issue. And I think it had a very negative first impression for a lot of people when it was first kind of, not first showed off, but pretty much everyone's kind of most recent exposure to it was the trailers of the last direct or state of player, whatever they want to call their things. I'm terrible like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very negative image that I don't think they're going to let shake off.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's unfortunate though. And I think a lot of that also falls onto ex-CEO of Sony, aka Jim Ryan, because he was the one trying to push all these live service games. And then the current two new CEOs came in and are like, okay, pump the brakes, bring it back here a bit, folks. And now they're trying to, half of them are already on ice already. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them just simply got canceled, like that fair games or whatever, that like steal from the rich game. Yeah, that was definitely going to fail. It does kind of suck though, I will say though, because again, there are aspects to Concord that are actually really good. Again, just jumping into the game and moving around and shooting and everything, it feels good. It really does. Is the TTK too long? Maybe. That's always a personal opinion of somebody, right? You could love fast TTKs, Call of Duty style. I prefer slower ones. Do I think Concord's a little too slow? Maybe for certain characters and what you're firing and everything. Yeah, I definitely think like the sidearms for certain characters definitely need a buff. But again, that's just little damage buffs in here and there. That's nothing like core to the game or anything. The gunplay feels great. The movement feels great. I just hope they don't get rid of this team completely and axe them, because I think this team could actually take a Sony IP. So I'm gonna think of something like KILLZONE, for example. Make
KILLZONE, yeah.
Make that this. Make that a multiplayer game. God, I would eat that. I'd be going in whole hard, dude. Could you imagine a KILLZONE game with a combination of some of the movement that we get in something like Concord and other games that these developers know how to work with, but still have the uniqueness that they had with KILLZONE 2 and KILLZONE 3 with that multiplayer? God, that would be amazing. That would just be awesome. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get that. But I would love to get something like that. That'd be so freaking cool to see. It absolutely would, right? So I really hope they don't axe this team. I really hope they don't. And the other thing that I'm a little concerned about is also just people are going to write this game off, unfortunately. I know why Sony's charging $40 because they're probably trying to make some of their money back just because of how long it's probably taken to make this game. And as we all know, making games has just increased in price and everything, and they're really trying to make a shit ton of money back and everything like that. So it will be interesting to see if this game could succeed. I think it could succeed on PlayStation. I think there could be a following of this particular game, especially if they put it onto PlayStation Extra or whatever, because PlayStation 5 sales, as we actually just recently saw, are actually on the rise. It's actually outpacing now the PS4 sales at its particular life sign. Now, obviously, a lot of people still own a PS4 because all they do is play Call of Duty and Fortnite, which, get a life.
What did he say?
But I will say, there's a chance it could potentially have a decent following. PC, I'm probably going to say no, because a lot of PC gamers have their 1 to 2 particular games that they play in terms of a live service multiplayer style game, and they're going to stick to that. Not to mention the whole free-to-play side of things. People prefer Steam over there. This does require a PSN login, so if you're in some of those countries that don't allow for that, then you can't play this game. So I don't think it will do very well on PC. In fact, the best case scenario, and this is a very best case scenario, is that before Helldivers 2 got its huge push in popularity up to like the 450,000+ Steam members or something like that, I think it's going to be reversed. I think it'll do decent on PlayStation and have nowhere near the players on PC. I think PC max will hit 10,000 at max, and that's being generous, is what I think it's going to. So if that happens to be the case and you come back and you happen to see this video in August of 2024, let me know if I was right or if I was wrong. We'll have to wait and see. We'll definitely keep it up. But I hope the game can do decently well. But like Lemon and I both said, it's just hard to say.